Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, good night, everybody. Just wanted to pull up the screen so that we can commence. 1 second for me. I know that everybody didn't complete the quiz. The last quiz, was there an issue with getting in, or we're just gonna, I guess, jump over that one?
Who's gonna jump over that one? Because I won't be.
Pardon?
I need that grade to count for me.
No, I mean those who didn't take it. I mean those who didn't take it. I
Okay.
just want. Let me see. So that's chapter 14.
Got it right. I think you owe us a point though.
What I do again? What
Yes.
Yes, you
Number
did.
12.
What's
The
that?
one with the one with the was it a formula or something with the net sales or something?
Yes,
With
number 12. It
And
was
3 of them was the same.
all three of them was the same.
Yeah,
and
only
the
one was
right
different.
answer at all.
I was confused on that
All
part.
three of them were all three of what were the same?
The answers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 or A, B, C, or D. 3 of them were the same. Like A, B, and C was the same, and then D was something different.
And none
I
of the.
think that was number 12.
Okay.
Something but due point.
Yeah, the due point for measuring the return on
Equity.
Yeah.
Equity.
Okay. I'll review it. And we'll make the necessary adjustments. Yeah.
Great, I could use a point.
Yay. Okay. No man, that's straight. That's straight.
Don't forget my 10 points. It's Colette.
What was
Well,
the
all
time?
of our 10 points.
Okay.
I listened to the whole radio show and you were good.
Remember,
So, yeah. That was the 10 points from the other day and that 10 point that can help me with this last quiz. Okay.
number 10 points in 10%. We just want to drop that in there. So let's let us look at bada bing, bada boom. Chapter 15, raising capital. This is our last official level. This is our last teaching class. After chapters 15 and 16, or even maybe after chapter 15, which is raising capital, we may just stop right here, and because we may just be able to go through 15 tonight. We'll see how it goes, and then do our quiz, and then we'll end the formal teaching part. Next week we'll do the review of any questions you may have from any chapter, any questions you may have from any topic, and then after that you'll have a week to study, and then after that, December 2nd, which is the last day of class, you'll have your exam. and
Right.
then you'll have a Merry Christmas.
Hmm.
What happened?
Ah, Lord. Hopefully.
You know, and the thing is, the people who have the most mouth, that's to be the ones who don't have an issue with the exam. I mean, just saying. But I ain't calling no names though. Call no
Every
names.
cool.
All right. So let me know once you can see the screen, and we'll continue. We good?
Yeah, it's open now.
All right. So it says this chapter is about raising capital because one of the goals of the finance manager is to raise the capital for the company, and there are various options that you have to use to raise capital. All right. So in this, we're going to talk about the cycle of a business. We're going to understand the different sources of capital available to a startup business and a growing business. We're going to explain the funding available to a stable or mature business, and we're going to explain how companies sell bonds in the capital market. All right. All right. So there are various parts of the life cycle of a business. You have your startup, your growth, your maturity, your decline, and your closing. All right. So each stage presents unique problems, opportunities, and funding requirements. Business life cycles vary considerably. Some firms go through the early stages fairly rapidly, and then they settle into maturity for a long time, while others skip to the closing stage in a few. All right. So you have a number of businesses, especially during our startup, it moves quickly. You get sales quickly, and then you kind of grow over time, and then afterward you hit a peak. You hit a plateau, and then you start to decline. And so as a good business owner, you would have to know where you are in your process and thereby make decisions as it pertains to that particular level or that particular point in your process. All right, so borrowing for a startup and growing business. 5 sources of capital can be generally used to start or grow a business. 1, personal funds. 2, borrowed funds from family and friends. 3, commercial loans. 4, borrowed funds from through the business startup programs. In this example, we have the US SBA, but in the Bahamas, we also have the SBDC, which is the Small Business Development Center that offers funding for new businesses or expanding of businesses. And then you have angel financing or venture capital. All right, there are 5 options on how you can start and grow a business. Okay, so personal funds. It's limited in scope, but often good starting points for most entrepreneurs and sole proprietorships. 2, professional lenders like commercial banks and venture capitalists view funding by family and friends as a sign that the business has potential. And I think that they do this because when you have family and friends can invest in your company, that means that those closest to you more or less they know you, and if they can invest in you, they know your character, they know what you're good for. So when investors can see that your family or friends invest in you, that gives them a good approach, I guess, to your character. All right. After all, if you can't convince your family and friends, as I said, that you have a good business idea, how can you convince a stranger? Secondly, commercial bank loans constitute the first source that people often seek after they've run out of friends and in-laws to ask. Banks tend to be very conservative lenders, often requiring substantial collateral, income history, and evidence of stability. Startups are rarely directly funded by commercial banks. As I said, because commercial banks often look for history, commercial banks often look for uh, kind of evidence that you've been stable. And if you're new, you have none of the above. You have no history, you have no bank statements to show over period of 3 to 5 years. So it's very unlikely that you'll get funding directly from commercial banks at the get-go. So let's look at SBA, available to qualified small business applicants via a variety of loan programs. Then you have the angel financing and venture capital, which is generally sought by entrepreneurs and businesses that would not qualify for commercial bank or SBA-backed financing. So this is your last resort for these angel financing and venture capital funds. All right. So angel investors are wealthy individuals and groups that are interested in providing initial funding for high-risk ideas. They typically have very short loan investment horizons. So they will lend you something for up to 10 years and upside limits of about 2 million. So your cap would be about 2 mil and your investment horizon would be 10 years. So they'll be expecting funds back within 10 years. Venture capitalist firms or funds are also willing to fund high-risk projects but have longer time horizons and higher funding limits. They generally provide the funding in stages. Okay. So your angel investors have a cap, 10 years, 2 mil. Your venture capitalist firms or funds actually have a longer time horizon and higher funding limits. Differences between angel investors and venture capitalists. Before we continue, is anyone in this group an entrepreneur?
Not me.
Not
Not
you.
yet.
Not yet. I got you.
Not yet.
Not yet. Not a problem. Let's continue then, because I was going to ask you how is it getting funding and all that kind of stuff. But we'll continue. All right. So angel and financing and venture capital. There are differences. The differences between angel investors and venture capitalists. Angel investors are individuals or group of individuals, whereas venture capitalists are corporate entities. Angel investors invest their own money. Venture capitalists invest pooled money from a range of investors. Angel investors are focused on early stages of business. Venture capitalists more deal with all stages of development. Sometimes they may give you money just to close out. And then you have an investment may be tied, an angel investment may be tied to individual or group expertise. With venture capitalists, investment may be tied to high growth opportunities with focus on technology and innovation. All right, let's look at this table 15.2. So when you look at phase 1, 2, 3, 4, your funding description, you designed a prototype. That's your first phase. Your seed money is $800,000. And they expect you to use this in 6 months. So in 6 months, they expect you to be on phase 1. When it comes to phase 2, which is small scale production, they would now pump about $1.6 million more in you. And they give you a timeline of 12 months to get this done. This is almost like when you are building a house and you're building a house in phases or you're building a house in stages. And the contractor gets cash injections at various parts of the project. Same thing applies here. All right, phase 3, marketing and distribution and selecting markets. Marketing and distribution money is another 1.6. This takes another 6 months, and then by the end of this 2 years, which is the 2 6-month periods and 12 months, there's phase 4, which is the full scale operation. You should be up and going, and then they give you 4.5 to keep you afloat. All right, and they expect you to get on your feet by 24 months. So within these first 4 years, these first 4 phases is the typical cycle that they're expecting this new business to get on their feet. All right. Entrepreneurs with strong, promising ideas could be in a position to choose from a group of angel investors and venture capitalists. So let's look at angel financing and venture capital. Factors to look for when picking a financier or a group of financiers include financial strength. All right. Will the financier have the necessary funding ability to back the project until its completion? So when you're looking for a financier, you have to look at making sure that this financier is able to help you at that phase 4, when you're about to go full throttle, you don't need them saying, "Oh, we ran out of money," or "Oh, we don't have sufficient money," because then your business will fail because you don't have the necessary capital injection to kind of keep this business afloat. The second thing is contacts. Can the financier provide valuable contacts to help the entrepreneur reach his or her goals? A lot of times, what financiers help you with, what they don't help you with capital, they can help you with networking and connecting you with particular people to help you with your next phase. The third one is exit strategy. How much equity is the investor looking to acquire as a condition of providing the funding, and how much of control is the entrepreneur willing to give up? This is very crucial. Does anybody on the call watch, not call, does anybody in the class watch Shark Tank?
No.
I watched it a few times. I get the gist of it.
All right. So Shark Tank, the key with Shark Tank is this. One of the Kevin is one of those sharks who is a constant on the show. One of the things that he always goes after is equity, because he wants to, not only equity, but he looks at royalties. He wants you to be, if he invests in your company, he wants a certain percentage or a certain dollar figure for every sale you get up to the money he gets back. And then when that is over, he wants this percentage stake in your company. When you are going to an angel financer or an investor, you want a venture capitalist, sorry, you want to know how much equity are they looking to get into your business, because you would know that as a part owner, when they invest in your company, they are part owners, and you need to know how much say they have in your company. All right, you need to know based on the equity level of their how much wiggle room do you have as an owner to make decisions, and how long will you keep them there? So for instance, you have some equity, some investors who say, okay, once I get my money back plus 15% on top of that, I'll leave. And so you could buy me back out. All right. And then at that rate, you can go ahead and run your business as if it were your own, because you can now not have to depend on waiting on them to make decisions. Given that there is a high probability of failure among startups, angel investors and financiers commonly look for 60% to 100% potential annual rates of return on their successful ventures in order to provide funding. All right, angel investors and financiers commonly look for 60% to 100% potential annual rates of return on their successful ventures in order to provide funding. Let's look at expected rate of return. And I was just about to tell you, it doesn't appear that there are no equations, but I guess not. All right, let's look. Example one, expected rate of return for a venture capitalist. The quick start funding group is looking to fund only those projects which have a potential to return $10 million for every $1 million that they invest within a 5-year period. All right, so you calculate the firm's expected rate of return on this investment. Your future value is $10 million. Your present value is $1 million. So what they want to do is they say, if I invest $1 million, we're expecting to get a return of $10 million. All right, in 5 years. Your CPTI is 58.49% per year, which is the annual expected rate of return on the investment. All right, your CPTI is your expected capital return over that per year, over that 5-year period. All right, 58.49%. So at the end of the day, if in 5 years they want $10 million on top of their 1 million, every year they're expecting to get a return on their investment of 58.49%. So when you're looking for borrowing for a stable and mature business, you look at bank loans, all right? Because these stable and mature businesses will have the necessary documents that banks are looking for in order to give them an approval, okay, on the loan. Commercial banks provide much of the short-term financing required for the operating needs of a business via straight loans, discount loans, and lines of credit with or without compensating balances. All right. So there are 3 types of loan. You have the straight loans, you have your discount loans, and the lines of credit with or without compensating balances. What are straight loans? Straight loans represent the simplest of all types of bank loans. They are offered with a quoted APR and preset payment amounts and intervals. That's what we're used to. Straight loans are what we're used to going to the bank for. You have a certain amount of money that the bank is expecting at the end of the day, and there is a certain so you're paying them back this particular amount every so often, and this is your typical loan. All right. How do you calculate payments and EAR of a straight loan? We've gone through this earlier in another chapter with your effective annual rate. And so we could just jump over this. For discount loans, there's an offer to firms with the interest amount being already subtracted at the start. All right. Another option is these discount loans, which are, like we said, offered to firms with the interest amount being already subtracted at the start. The difference between the amount the firm can use and the amount the firm has to pay back at the end is the bank's interest or discount earned. The loan amount is the amount due at maturity. Okay, the loan amount is the amount due at maturity. Let's look at the example. Let's say a firm needs $2 million to fund the operations of its new expansion. It approaches a commercial bank, which offers it a discount loan of 9.5% per year, which will have to be paid back in full in one payment at the end of 12 months. All right. How much will the face value of the loan have to be set at, and at what interest rate is the company effectively paying? So let's look at it again. Your loan amount that you need is $2 million. You need $2 million. What happens is you take that amount, you divide it by 1 minus 0.095, which is your 9.5% per year. And that means then that your answer is $2.209 million. All right, so that's $2,209,000. The amount used is $2 million. At the end of the day, your effective rate is your discount paid, which is your $209,000, divided by $2 million, which is your 10.45. So this one, you pay in your interest at the get-go. All right, you pay your interest at the beginning, as opposed to paying your interest over time. You're paying your interest at the beginning, as opposed to paying your interest over time. Let's look at a line of credit. A line of credit is a pre-approved borrowing amount that works much like a credit card. The company can borrow money at a preset rate from bank at any time without seeking additional approval of the loan each time it needs the funds. All right. So once again, your line of credit is when the company can borrow money at a preset rate from the bank at any time without seeking additional approval of the loan each time it needs funds. So this is like being able to just not having to go through that entire process. Because when you are a company, you don't have the time to be waiting on it to get to draw up an application, wait for approval, wait for disbursement. You just continually have this line of credit. All right. The bank, however, is compensated based on the outstanding balance of the loan. The compensation can be a fixed interest rate, but often it's a floating interest rate tied to a benchmark interest rate. So what it's saying is it's normally tied to prime. All right. Just like how regular mortgages and everything is tied to prime, is often tied to this benchmark interest rate, which is prime. This borrowing style has changing balances and changing interest rates. So it is difficult to state the effective rate of loan. All right, it's different because you have because there's not a fixed rate. You can't really say what the effective rate is of this loan. So these compensating balance, these loans work like lines of credit, except that a portion of the loan is not available to the borrower, even though interest is paid on the full face value of the loan. For example, if a firm takes a loan of $100,000 at a rate of 7.5% per year, and the compensating balance requirement of 15%, it will be able to use only $85,000, which is 15%, which is when you take off that haircut of 15%, you leave with $85,000, and you'll be charged $7,500 in interest for the year. All right. The effective rate of interest will therefore be your $7,500, which is your interest you're paying for the year, divided by your $85,000 that you're actually using. So your effective rate is 8.82%. Let's look at borrowing for stable and mature businesses when you're selling bonds. So once again, we come to this bond topic. So let's see how we can make bonds make sense. All right. So For corporate bonds, a major source of long-term financing for established companies, typically sold in $1,000 units and publicly auctioned or privately placed. The public issue, which is regulated by the SEC, or in the context of here, would be regulated by the SCB, which is the Securities Commission of the Bahamas, involves the following 5 steps. 1, the company selects an investment bank. Over here, you would get like a Fidelity Bank or a CFAL. The second thing is you would register your bond with the SEC or the SCB. The third thing is the bond is rated by an agency such as Standard & Poor's or Moody's, because remember now, these companies will determine the issuing company's ability to repay this bond based on their performance. Number 4, the investment bank markets the bond to prospective buyers. So you would have a Royal Fidelity or CFAL who would market it to prospective buyers, normally within the company first and then out elsewhere. And then an auction is conducted to sell the bond. There are 2 key documents as it relates to selling bonds that are required during the bond issuance process. There's a prospectus, and then there's the Indenture Agreement. There's a prospectus and the Indenture Agreement. All right, the prospectus, much of the information filed in the registration and is used to inform potential buyers about the bond. So anytime you have a bond being issued, you will always have a prospectus that has everything that you need. You will have the coupon rate, the maturity rate, and all the terms and conditions as it relates to this bond. The Indenture Agreement, which is the formal contract for the bond between the issuing company and the eventual buyer. All right, it includes vital information, on this Indenture Agreement: coupon rate, payment schedule, maturity date, par value. And so much of the information on the Indenture Agreement is also on the prospectus. And the Indenture Agreement also has other restrictive covenants, restrict the activities of the issuing firm to increase the safety of the bond in the eyes of the potential buyers. All right, so it restricts the activities of the issuing firm to increase the safety of the bond in the eyes of the potential buyers. So in this Indenture Agreement, the company would agree not to take any high risk activities, or to undergo any high risk activities, or do any high risk investments, so that it can protect the ability or cover the ability for this bond or this company to repay their bond at future. Because you don't want a company to be being risky with your money, and then at the end of the day they say, well, I can't pay you back because we had to do this investment, and sorry, can't pay my bills. All right, so you want to make sure that the company is making decisions, they come to agreements not to do anything that will prohibit them from being able to make to more or less pay you. All right, firms that issue coupon bonds have to make periodic coupon payments and a large lump sum at maturity. Sinking funds or reserve accounts set up by bond issuers to put away funds every year so as to have necessary funds available to retire the bond when it matures. So sinking funds or reserve accounts are when you have companies, as they start making money, they put a certain portion away, so that at the end of the day, if it's $100 million that they have to pay back in 10 years, that sinking fund may say, okay, every year we're going to put aside $10 million. All right. This is different than the interest rate the interest or the coupon that we're paying every year. So let's look at bond proceeds. The Golden Corral Corporation is in the process of issuing a 30-year 8% bond paid semi-annually, a AA1 rated corporate bond with $1,000 par value. If by the time the bonds receive SEC clearance, the market yield on this bond goes to 8.35%, and the company sells 3,000 of these bonds with the help of an investment banker who charges them a commission rate of 3% on the proceeds. What will be the total proceeds what will the total proceeds be for the issuing company? What is the cost of these bonds to the firm in terms of cost of capital? What are the firm's future cash obligations? All right, so the first thing, let's look at the example. So your P divided by Y is 2. All right, your C divided by Y is 2. Your N is 60, because it's 60. Sorry, it's 60 payments because it's over 30 years, it's 60 payments. Your payment is 40, your future value is $1,000. Your I, which is 8, your interest is 8.35, and your PV, your present value is $961 and $961.69. All right. Gross proceeds from the sale of the bonds. You sell 3,000 bonds at $962. That's the company raises then $2.9 million or $2.885 million. The investment banker's commission would be $86,552 because they would have gone and then sold it, and they raised this much capital and they said, okay, whatever we raise, we want 3% of it. So they get $86,552. The total proceeds received by the issuing company is the 2,798,506, which is that 86,552 deducted from the $2.885 million. Net proceeds per bond would be the $961.69 multiplied by 1 minus 0.03, which is $932.84. All right. Let's look at common stock, which is another option that companies have when they are looking to raise capital. Okay, 1 second for me. All right. So let's look at one second for me. All right, let's look at common stock, okay? Equity holders get voting rights as part owners and share in the residual profits of the firm. IPOs, when the firm first goes public, and season offerings for subsequent issues. Firms sell stock to the public with the help of investment banking firms who perform due diligence and are experts in marketing the issue. Investment banks partner with issuing firms in exchange for compensation that can be set up on a best efforts basis or on a fixed commitment basis. Under a best efforts arrangement, the investment bank pledges to use its best efforts to sell all the authorized shares and takes a cut on each individual share sold, but provides no guarantee as to how many shares will be sold. All right. So under this best efforts arrangement, the investment bank says that it will do the best it can to sell all of the shares that have been authorized, and it takes a cut or it takes a percentage of each of these individual shares held. All right, but they can't give a guarantee of how many shares they can sell. All they can do is say, we're going to do our best to get as many sold as we can, but we can't tell you how many we're going to sell. The more shares sold, the higher, of course, the payoff to the investment bank. Under a fixed commitment arrangement, also known as an underwriting arrangement, the investment banker guarantees a fixed amount of proceeds to the issuer. All right, the investment banker makes up or keeps the difference between the actual selling price and the guaranteed price. Let's look at best efforts versus fixed commitment underwriting. The Wed Link Incorporated wants to raise capital by issuing common stock. They contact a few investment bankers, and the one with the best offer has presented them with two options. One, a fixed commitment of 8.5 mil. Two, a best efforts arrangement in which the investment banker will receive $1.50 per share for every share of stock sold up to 1.5 mil for the 1,000 shares to be offered to the public at $11 per share. 1 million shares, all right, to be offered to the public at $11 per share. Let's look at some questions. If 100% of the shares are sold, what are Wed Link's proceeds? Anybody want to take a stab at that? If 100% of the shares are sold, what are Wed Link's proceeds? Anybody? Hello. Hello. If 100% of the shares are sold, go ahead.
No, I'm trying to look at. I'm trying to figure it out. Give me a sec.
No problem.
Would it be 11 million?
Is that your final answer?
Yeah,
Mama.
I guess.
What their proceeds would be, not only the 11 mil. So if all intents and purposes they sell everything, they get them 11 mil, but they have to pay. Remember, they have to pay their investment banker. So their proceeds are what they raise, subtract.
Oh, okay. Subtract the 15, the 1.5 million.
Well, not only 1.5, they get $1.50 per share for each stock sold up to 1.5 mil. So let's look at that. They raise the 11 mil. They subtract the 8.5 mil. So the issuer gets 8.5 mil. This is with a firm commitment, well, fixed commitment. Let's work it out. So they get their 11 mil. So they get the $11 times minus, $1.50. $11 is what they are selling it for, and for everything up to 1.5 mil, they take off $1.50. They take off $1.50 of each one of those. You multiply that by that $1 million, you get $9.5 million. We get that? No? Let's look at it. $11 per share, right? For every stock that's sold up to 1.5 mil, they have to take off $1.50 for every stock. So that's $9.50 that they get for every stock up to 1.5 mil. If they're selling 1 million shares, that means they get $9.5 million. Make sense? Let's go back. Ideally, they sell $11 per share for 1 million shares. They have 1 million shares they want to sell, right? So their overall picture that they're looking to raise is $11 million. If they hit this target, their investment banker gets $1.50 for every share that they sell up to $1.5 million. So if they sell the full 11 mil, they have to subtract the 1.5 mil and they get 9.5 mil. Make sense? No?
Yep.
Yeah, it makes sense.
All right. So if the issue is 100% sold, the issuer is better off with the best efforts arrangement, while the investment banker would be better off with the fixed commitment arrangement. All right. Because they get more money under the issuer or the person who wants to sell bonds. They get a better deal under the best efforts arrangement. But if they do a firm commitment arrangement, the issuer gets the automatic $8.5 million. They get more money. All right. So if 85% of the shares are sold, that is 850,000 shares instead of the 1 million shares at $11 per share, the proceeds are as follows. With the firm commitment arrangement, the issuer gets $8.5 million. All right. They get $8.5 million. The investment banker gets $850,000. And with the best efforts arrangement, that means they get the $11 minus their 1.5, and they multiply that by $850,000, which is what was sold. They get $8,075,000. The investment banker gets $1.50 multiplied by $850,000 because they still get paid for everyone up to 1.5. So even if they didn't sell $1.5 million, whatever, they still got a portion of that. So if the issue is only 85% sold, the issuer is better off with the firm commitment, while the investment banker will be better off with the best efforts arrangement. So overall, what it's saying is that when it's best efforts arrangement, when the person who wins is the issuer. All right. If everything goes perfectly well and they sell 100% of what they went out to sell, the issuer gets the better end of the stick with best efforts. If they don't go with best efforts and they just have a firm commitment, which means that this is something that's set in stone, that's not based on what is sold, the investment banker wins. But it kind of makes sense over here that under the best efforts, the hard work of your investment banker is critical to your issuer when your investment banker does the best they can and gets all your money that you asked for. All right. Let's look at registration, prospectus, and tombstone. All new issues of shares have to be registered with the SEC prior to being sold in the commercial banks in the capital markets. All new issues of shares have to be registered with the SEC prior to being sold in capital markets. You have a cool-off period, which is 20 to 40 days. And during the waiting period, the issuer can circulate a preliminary prospectus informing potential investors of the issuer. So when you have new issues, you have 20 to 40 days where you can't do anything with it. While you're waiting, the issuer can circulate a preliminary prospectus telling potential investors, hey, we have some new shares coming on the market. You can't get any commitments from any buyers until after the SEC approves it. So you just kind of gives a little flash. You just kind of flash what is coming to the market, but you can't sell anything yet until the SEC approves. If information is missing, the SEC issues a comment letter requiring corrections and a new application must be filed. Once refiled, the cool-off period starts again. So you could have that cool-off period of 20 to 40 days while the SEC is reviewing and stuff. If they look at your issue and they say, you know what, you're missing something out, this is incorrect, we got to start the process all over again. All right. During the waiting period, the issuer and the investment bank place large advertisements, which you call tombstone ads, in newspapers. It contains the name of the issuer, some details about the issue, and a list of participating investment banks. There are two exceptions to the usual SEC registration process. If the issue has a maturity of less than 270 days, for example, a commercial paper issue. So if it's a commercial issue, if there's commercial paper, which is a short-term investment, you don't have to go through the SEC registration. And if the issue is worth less than $5 million, you don't have to go through the SEC. All right, remember those two things. If the maturity is less than 270 days, which qualifies this as a short-term investment, you don't have to go to the SEC. And if the issue is worth less than $5 million, you don't have to go to the SEC. All right, this is just an example of a tombstone for mobile medical. So of course you see the name of the company that's issuing it. You see the kind of Class A stock. They're looking to sell 2 million shares, and these are offered by these particular banks. All right, they'll be sold through those particular investment banks. The marketing process, a roadshow, involves taking the issue on the road to attract interest among potential investors. The process lasts about 2 weeks and enables the investment banker to get a feel for what the price should be set at. And then after a successful roadshow and a marketing campaign, a price is set and the issue proceeds forward to be auctioned off in the primary capital market. For the auction, buyers submit Their bids at preset prices, and if oversubscribed, the bids are filled on a pro rata basis until all the shares are sold. Other borrowing options for a mature business, you have commercial paper, like we spoke about earlier, which is a short term. Bankers' acceptances. And then you have commercial. So commercial paper is a discount note sold by a company directly to an investor with both principal and interest repaid within 270 days. So governments issue treasury bills, businesses issue commercial paper. The reason firms issue commercial paper over other forms of borrowing, it has lower rates than through commercial banks. And since they mature within 270 days, short form registration they don't have to go through SEC. All right. All right. Example of 6. The large-scale industrial corporation, a large, well-established company, is about to issue $6 million worth of commercial paper. The paper has a maturity of 9 months, which is 270 days, and commands a price worth $97.5 million. All right. No, I'm sorry, 97.5% of par value in the market. How many commercial papers will be sold? That's the first question. Second question was the cost of this borrowing to the firm. Let's look at it. Okay, so other borrowing options for mature thing. Proceeds from the issue. Face value multiplied by discounted value, which is just 6 mil multiplied by 0.975, which is 5.85 mil. The cost of this borrowing over 270 days is your 6 mil minus 5.85, which is your 1.15 mil, divided by 5.85, which is 0.02564. All right. So you look at your percentage change, not a percentage change, but you're looking at your dollar change over that period of time. Your APR is 3.47%. Your EAR is 3.48%, which is technically lower than what you get would have to repay the bank. All right, so you go quickly to the market, you raise this capital, you pay out this lower interest, and you don't have to worry about the SEC. You don't have to worry about the bank giving you a high interest rate. You just live. All right. How do you determine how many number of commercial papers issued? You get your total face value over your par value of 1. So you get your total face value, which is just 6 mil that you're trying to raise, and you divide it by $100,000, which is your par value, and you can issue 60 papers. All right, so you're issuing 60 papers. What's a banker's acceptance? A banker's acceptance is a short-term credit arrangement created by a firm and guaranteed by a bank. It is ordinarily used to finance inventories or other assets that will be self-liquidated over a relatively short period of time. Its specific purpose is to promote trade. So what happens is you're going to get this banker's notice, acceptance, just to clear your stuff off the boat, to quickly sell. When you sell, you pay it off, and bada bing, bada boom, you do a quick turnaround. All right. It typically involves an importing firm having its invoice guaranteed by a bank and sent over to the exporter as assurance of payment in the next few months. So it's almost like how you would have purchase orders by the government, where they say, you know what, we need to get this now. We're going to give you a PO, take this PO. We're going to pay you in such and such a day. And, you know, because it's a PO, it's guaranteed by the government. So companies normally take them. All right. The exporter turns in the banker's acceptance to his bank in exchange for reduced payment. And in return, the bank in the exporting country takes title to the exported goods until the payment is received. The importing firm is able to finance its purchases and releases funds as inventory is liquidated. What's the final phase? Closing the business. Final phase, closing the business. Sometimes successful solvent firms decide to cease operations. So they sell off their assets, they pay off all outstanding debts and expenses, and they distribute the residual value to their shareholders. When firms are unsuccessful, they may decide to cease operations. They declare bankruptcy, liquidate their assets, or they may decide to reorganize and attempt to reestablish themselves and try to emerge as stronger firms. So there are two ways firms, not every time a firm closes, it means that they are insolvent. All right. Successful solvent firms decide to cease operations. They sell off their assets, they pay off all outstanding debts and expenses, and they distribute the residual value to the stockholders. Let's look at straight liquidation. Chapter 7 of the federal, so when a company files Chapter 7, it means that the process that has to be followed when this is a process that has to be followed when a firm decides to close its business and liquidate its assets. Once a firm files for Chapter 7, the bankruptcy court judge appoints a trustee to oversee the process of liquidation, the order of which is as follows. The proceeds from the sale of the collateralized assets or transfer of actual assets to secured creditors to settle their claims. The second thing is the trustees' expenses in administering the sale of assets and payment of claims. The third part of the third stage of straight liquidation is payment to claimants whose claims result from activities after the filing of Chapter 7. The wage earners of the company for unpaid wages, they get paid fourth in the process. The fifth person is the claims for unpaid portions of benefit plans for employees. Again, there are limits for this class of claims, all right? Then you have unsecured claims from customer deposits up to a certain amount. Then the federal, state, and local unpaid taxes are paid. Then unfunded pension plans are paid. Then your general unsecured creditors, so your unsecured bank loans, bondholders, so forth. Then your preferred stockholders, and then your common stockholders. All right. So if you have common stock in a company, you are way down the list for getting paid. You're way down the list. Of course, the top would be proceeds for the sale of collateralized assets and transfer of actual assets to creditors. They are paid first. All right, so your creditors are paid first. We sell everything, we pay your creditors, and then there's a pecking order to who gets paid. And then as a common stockholder, you may not get paid. That's why it's so risky being a common stockholder, because you get the last bit of whatever left in the pot. Okay, you may just get left with a pot cake. So let's look at reorganization. A firm wants to do a Chapter 11. And I'm sure that you may have heard these phrases thrown out: Chapter 7, Chapter 11. So you kind of know what they mean now. Chapter 7 is when they're winding down, they're just shutting down operation. Chapter 11 is when they reorganize, all right? And what some firms file for, if their managers feel there is a chance that they could restructure the firm and be worth more alive than dead. In a typical reorganization, the process is as follows. One, they file a petition for Chapter 11. The company files this, or a creditor can file this, and a bankruptcy court judge either accepts or denies the petition. So you can have a creditor who can say, you know what, these people ain't paying me my money. How about if we give them a chance to reorganize to see if they can pay me my money if they just restructure some stuff. So either you or your creditor can make a file for this, and the judge in the bankruptcy court will determine if this is good or not, and they'll accept or deny the petition. The second thing is, if accepted, a date is set by the judge for all claimants to show proof of their claims. All right. Number 3, a reorganization plan is presented to the court and must be approved by a majority of the members of the claimant class. The next step is that if the claimants cannot agree on the reorganization plan, the judge may issue a ruling on all or parts of a plan and thus decree the reorganization plan. If a minority of classes do not agree to the plan, the judge may listen to their objections and alter their reorganization plan. Number 6, often the current managers continue to run the business while it operates under the reorganization plan, but the court may also appoint a trustee to oversee the operations and protect the rights of the claimants during this period of time, all right? So the current managers may continue to run the business. They may liquidate, they may say, you know what? we want to put a freeze on all of our thing, and we just need to catch ourselves. All right, we just want to catch ourselves, and they may still run it, or the government, the judge may appoint persons to oversee the running of the business to make sure that they're doing whatever they can to get back on their feet. All right, the reorganization plan may allow the issuance of new securities and thus add another set of claimants to the firm. Old debt may be restructured in terms of both maturity and rates. The plan itself holds off claimants while the company tries to reorganize and come out of bankruptcy as a new operating firm. And if the firm fails to make the reorganization plan work, it will probably fall into Chapter 7 bankruptcy. All right. So if Chapter 8 doesn't work, they have to file Chapter 7. Chapter 7 is when they are cutting out everything. All right. All hearts and minds are settled, as we promised. Let me see something here. Let me see what Chapter 16 looks like. Do we have any questions based on what we would have just discussed? Any questions at all?
Not yet.
Not yet. Good. That's a good thing. Chances are you may have to look at the class. You may have to look at the, of course, you'll have to reread to do the quiz. But you know, you got this.
What was that? I missed that.
I thought the quiz last week was the last quiz.
No, where you got it from?
That's what I thought.
No, man. I can't do that. I can't just let you come to class like that. No,
I mean, we're struggling to survive here, you know, COVID and everything, but okay.
Oh, y'all got it. Y'all strong. I got this. So that's pretty much it for this chapter. You'll see a quiz by tomorrow.
Can we get it extended until next week, like Wednesday, like the end of Wednesday, please? We got another midterm next week, pretty please.
Y'all have 2 midterms?
Yeah, yep. With Mr. Cargill.
2 midterms.
How you have 2 midterms? I thought you only have 1 midterm. You only got 1 middle or something.
Yeah, well, he decided to split it into 2. You need to talk to him about that. So he first agreeing off.
No, don't talk to him about nothing. He's getting feelings.
Never mind.
No, but
ma'am.
If I talk to him about that, then he may convince me to do another midterm.
No, he's straight.
We don't gotta
talk to him about it, but we just need a little extension till the end of Wednesday, pretty please. Because trying to do that, yeah, that's tough.
Rochelle, I need you I need you to be here also next week, just to give a refresher of your section, please. We'll start off with that next week.
Yes, that's perfect.
Noted.
Yeah. So Rochelle will come next week. I'll kick off. Then Rochelle would end with some time value of money, and that's how we'll do our refresher for next week. But yeah, you could pass this class. This, you know, based on what I'm seeing, and I see some. Let me see. Let me look at this list here. I see some people who on the class tonight who ain't do this quiz yet, but all this job.
So on this job.
Y'all planning on doing the last quiz? Those who didn't sit.
Yes.
I thought it was due yesterday.
Not this one coming up. I talking about the one what we just supposed to do.
Yeah, I thought it over yesterday. No?
We did.
Oh, okay.
I feel a little generous, and I may give persons an extra chance to complete if they don't. If they want to, you could send me a private chat. I need to know by tonight. Tonight midnight.
We're calling to do it again. Thanks.
I know, right?
Cool. You already had your 2 chances.
Yes, let me do it again, please, and thank you.
I need to do that again, Mr. Tingham, please.
Mr. Tingham? Who says it, Mr. Tingham?
I got to call you Mr. Chicago.
I know she's gonna do that.
No, for real. I remember that quiz, but see 11:45. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Oh boy.
That's when I do that quiz.
Hold on, you don't miss the Kaga class too, eh?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, everybody in that class.
Anthony, you said you did the quiz when?
11:45 last night.
Let me see
So
something here.
I only got one attempt, and I didn't even get to look over my notes
Let
when
me
I do
see.
that.
I don't see any grade for you here. Let me see.
What? That's the exam. What ended last night, 11:59, right? What you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't.
I do that.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I didn't get to do a second attempt, but I did one attempt.
No, I ain't seen no time.
Let me see. No, I did that. I
Sweetie,
could
that's
tell you. I
good.
could
You know what
screenshot
I
it.
mean?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
well,
Let me do it
don't
over
worry about that.
anyway.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah,
Don't
that's
worry
because you
about
did
that.
it so late because it's an hour test. You probably started too late. That's probably why they ain't going in.
No, but
Yeah.
I ended it. I finished it in time, and it gave me a grade. So I know what happened. But then
Don't
I could do
worry
it
about
again. I
that.
could do it again.
Yeah, there you go. You win.
It gave you a grade?
Yeah, it gave me a grade.
Okay. All right. No problem. Let me see if anybody else in this list. Well, I always know that when there's a new person in the class, that the person who could be Colette. Switch up.
I was on a conference call last night and I had to put that there.
Yeah, switch up. I know. Okay. All right. I listen. I got you. I got you. I got you. Not a problem. All right. I think everybody is good. I think I'm gonna extend it.
Okay, thank you.
So the one for this one coming up, we getting an extension maybe till next Friday. That would be great.
No, we can do y'all ask for Wednesday. We can do extension to Wednesday.
Damn, I should have said Thursday.
But I'll open it up on Thursday of this week, and then we'll open it until next Wednesday.
You mean Thursday, man. I need to read the chapter. I tell you this, man. I have all my time. Cause listen,
we have 15 essays.
You know my issue is like I just got the bat and a stick, and
no,
I can't.
man.
Y'all calling me light. All right.
No. Your book is so much easier to read. That's what that is. That book? Sorry, I shouldn't be talking like this. Let me keep my mouth shut.
I got you. But listen, we will have the final exam on December 2nd.
Right.
And I will review the classes. Let me see these grades. Hold on. Let me see.
You gonna send the slides for this class for tonight?
Dan, yeah, they will be in the thing tonight. They will be in.
Okay, thank you.
I
gotta go.
I'm looking at these. Y'all didn't do too bad with this group.
You must be looking at mine.
Well, I mean, yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay, yeah.
So based on averages, I'm seeing, some persons need some little boost. So we'll work it out. But no one fails the class. Even if you come over to C, you don't fail this class. All right. If all hearts and minds are settled, I'll be sending that out, and you'll have access to that tomorrow until next Wednesday at midnight.
If you have any friends, Cable Bahamas, tell them stop knocking us off internet, and tell BP also playing with the light.
That's a heavy task. That's a heavy task, but I'll see what I can do. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, please go over the slides. Go over your equations. But you don't understand, myself and Rochelle will deal with it next week. Myself and Rochelle will deal with it next week. But until then, enjoy yourself, be safe, and I'll see you next week.
Alrighty.
If you have any questions, like during the course of the week, just send a private chat, or you could put it in the group, and then someone in the group may be able to help because that may be their strong point. That's really the purpose of the WhatsApp group. If anybody runs into any roadblocks, they can get some assistance from somebody in the group. All
Yep.
right? All right.
Yep.
Have a good one.
Yes, you too. Good night.
Good
All right,
night.
good night.
All right, good night.